Have you ever felt that nagging sense of insecurity, that little voice inside that whispers, I am not good enough, I can't do this, I am weak? We all have it. Every single human being has something that makes them feel vulnerable, something that they fear others will see and judge. But here's a truth that most of us don't realize. What we often consider our weakness is actually a secret weapon. Yes, your weakness, the very thing you try to hide, the thing you are embarrassed about, is actually the key to your greatest strength if you know how to handle it. Think about it for a moment. The world teaches us to be perfect, to put on a mask of confidence, to show only the polished, flawless version of ourselves. From childhood, we are trained to hide our failures, to cover up our shortcomings, and to avoid admitting when we don't know something. But life doesn't reward perfection. It rewards authenticity and the courage to grow. Your weaknesses are not meant to be weaknesses forever. They are meant to guide you, to challenge you, and ultimately, to become the source of your power. Let me tell you a story. There was a young boy who was afraid of speaking in public. Every time he had to talk in front of the class, his hands would shake, his voice would tremble, and he would feel his heart racing like a drum. Naturally, everyone thought he was timid, weak, and maybe even unfit to lead. But this boy didn't run away from his fear. Instead, he acknowledged it, he observed it, he understood why he felt this way, and slowly, day by day, he practiced, he learned, he prepared. Years later, this same boy became a motivational speaker. He traveled the world, standing in front of thousands of people, inspiring them with courage. That little weakness he once feared, the fear of speaking, became his most extraordinary weapon. What I want you to realize is that your weaknesses are like unpolished diamonds. On the surface, they may seem like flaws, but hidden within them is immense value. Every insecurity, every limitation, every fear, if faced with honesty and patience, can be transformed into a strength that no one can take away from you. The first step is awareness. You must acknowledge your weakness without judgment. Stop calling yourself less than or inadequate. Recognize that this part of you is not a curse, it's a signal, a guidepost pointing to where growth is possible. But awareness alone is not enough. You must nurture it. Weakness, left unchecked, can indeed become a liability. It can crush your confidence. It can hold you back. It can make you doubt your worth. But when nurtured, when observed and worked upon with discipline and humility, it becomes an ally. It teaches patience. It teaches resilience. It teaches you empathy for others, because when you have struggled with something, you begin to understand that everyone else is struggling too. Your weakness, when mastered, becomes a bridge to deeper understanding and connection. There is another dimension to this as well, secrecy. Your weakness is your secret weapon in part because it is yours alone. Not everyone needs to know it. You don't need to broadcast every fear, every insecurity, every flaw. In fact, sharing your weaknesses indiscriminately can diminish your power. People may not understand, people may judge, or worse, people may exploit it. So guard it, work on it quietly. Strength grows silently, and your hidden battles are often the ones that create the strongest warriors. Let me illustrate this with an example from nature. Think of a bamboo plant. For the first 5 years, it seems like it isn't growing at all. You water it, care for it, and nothing appears above the ground, people may say it's weak, that it's not thriving. But underground, the roots are expanding, becoming stronger, preparing for a massive growth spurt. And then, seemingly overnight, the bamboo shoots up to incredible heights. Your weaknesses are like those roots. They are your hidden foundation. They are the preparation, the quiet work that sets the stage for extraordinary growth. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you understand this, your weaknesses no longer control you. You stop being ashamed of them. You stop fearing them. Instead, you learn to see them as the raw material for your transformation. You begin to experiment, to take risks, to step outside your comfort zone, because you know that every challenge you face, every moment you feel vulnerable, is an opportunity to strengthen your secret weapon. So today, I urge you to reflect deeply on this. Stop seeing your weaknesses as a mark of shame. Stop comparing yourself to others who seem flawless. Your weakness is not a curse. It is your secret weapon. Treat it with care, nurture it, and work on it quietly. Because one day, that very weakness, that very thing you feared showing, will become the source of your courage, your influence, and your greatness. And when that day comes, you will realize that what you once thought was your limitation was, in fact, your superpower all along. Remember, your weakness is not a burden. It is your hidden treasure. Protect it, understand it, and let it transform you into the strongest version of yourself. Have you ever noticed how quickly people form opinions about you? Sometimes it happens in a single glance, a single word, or a single action. We live in a world where judgment comes faster than understanding, and too often, we forget that everyone is fighting battles that are invisible. The truth is, people judge without knowing the full story, and this is a lesson we must internalize if we want to protect our confidence, preserve our energy, and grow as individuals. Think about it for a moment. You could be doing your very best, putting your heart and soul into something, and yet someone might casually dismiss you, criticize you, or misunderstand your intentions. They don't see the late nights you spent learning, the moments you sacrificed comfort for growth, or the times you silently endured pain to remain strong. All they see is the surface, the action, the outcome, or perhaps even a single mistake. And in that judgment, your efforts are overshadowed, your struggles ignored, and your worth underestimated. This is not because people are inherently cruel. It's simply human nature. Our brains are wired to categorize, to simplify, and to draw conclusions quickly. It's a survival mechanism, but in modern life, it often backfires. When someone judges you without understanding the full story, they are acting on limited information, assumptions, and their own biases. The mistake we often make is taking their judgment personally. We allow someone else's incomplete perspective to affect our confidence, our self-esteem, and our path forward. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who had a dream of becoming a writer. Every day he wrote tirelessly, pouring his thoughts, fears, and observations onto paper. But when he shared his work with some people, they laughed at his ideas, dismissed his writing as amateurish, and told him he would never succeed. It was crushing. He felt humiliated and considered giving up, but he didn't. He remembered that people often judge without knowing the full story. They saw the surface, not the countless hours of dedication. not the late nights fueled by passion, and not the resilience he had developed through struggle. Years later, his work was published, celebrated, and inspired thousands. Those who judged him early on had missed the story entirely, yet he had remained focused on his journey. This is why it is so important to understand that judgment is not reality. People's opinions are colored by their experiences, their fears, and their own limitations. Someone who criticizes you may be projecting their insecurities, their disappointments, or their unfulfilled dreams onto you. It is human, but it is not the truth about who you are or what you are capable of. When we internalize this, we begin to separate ourselves from the judgments that do not serve us. We learn to filter criticism, taking only what is constructive and leaving the rest. There is also a deeper spiritual lesson here. Every individual's journey is unique. We all face challenges, make mistakes, and overcome obstacles in ways that no one else can fully comprehend. Imagine if life were a movie, and every person around you only saw one frame of your story. Would they understand the plot, the struggles, the motivations, or the growth you have experienced? Of course not. Yet society expects us to justify ourselves, to explain, and to seek validation from people who don't have the full picture. True strength lies in realizing that you do not need everyone's approval to move forward. This doesn't mean you ignore feedback. Constructive criticism, guidance from mentors, and insights from people who genuinely care about you are invaluable. But the careless opinions, the hasty judgments, and the thoughtless remarks, they are like passing clouds. They may momentarily obscure your sun, but they do not define the sky. They do not define your potential. They do not define your worth. One of the most important lessons we can learn is to cultivate self-awareness and self-belief. When you know your values, your purpose, and your capabilities, the judgments of others lose their power over you. You begin to recognize that criticism often reveals more about the other person than it does about you. Someone may criticize your ambition, yet their judgment stems from fear of failure. Someone may dismiss your creativity, yet they are trapped by their own limited imagination. Understanding this allows you to maintain your peace, your focus, and your determination. It is also vital to remember that people's judgments are fleeting. Opinions change, perspectives shift, and time often reveals the truth. Those who once doubted you may later admire you. Those who once laughed may later applaud. And those who truly matter, your mentors, your friends, your family, will understand the depth of your efforts and respect the journey you are on. So today, I want you to embrace a mindset that protects your heart and strengthens your confidence. Recognize that people will judge, but that does not diminish your story. Your story is bigger, more intricate, and far richer than anyone else can see at a glance. Your struggles, your efforts, your dreams, and your growth are yours to honor. And when you internalize this, you free yourself from the weight of unnecessary judgment and step into the clarity and courage required to pursue your purpose. Remember, life is not about pleasing everyone or justifying every step. It's about walking your path with integrity, resilience, and self-belief. People will judge without knowing the full story, but that is not your problem. Your problem is to continue growing, learning, and transforming your weaknesses into strengths, your failures into lessons, and your challenges into opportunities. When you live with this understanding, judgment becomes powerless, and your inner light shines brighter than ever before. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to leave a room feeling lighter, inspired, and energized, while others leave you drained, stressed, or anxious without even realizing it? The truth is, every interaction in life carries energy, your energy, and the energy of those around you. And this is one of the most important truths many of us overlook. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is essential. Your energy is the fuel for your mind, your heart, and your soul. It is what allows you to think clearly, make wise decisions, and pursue your dreams with focus and passion. When you allow your energy to be drained carelessly, you are not just tired physically, you are weakened mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Think about it. Every day, you meet people who either uplift you or pull you down. Some conversations inspire growth, ignite creativity, or spark joy. Others, however, leave you frustrated, doubtful, or anxious. The difference often lies not in the person themselves, but in how much of your energy you allow to flow to them. Life does not always give you a choice in who crosses your path, but it does give you the choice of how much power, attention, and energy you invest in those interactions. Protecting your energy means being aware of this invisible currency and spending it wisely. Let me tell you a story. There was a young professional who worked in a large office. Every day, she encountered colleagues who constantly complained, criticized, and spread negativity. At first, she tried to argue, explain, or defend herself. But every interaction left her exhausted, anxious, and demotivated. Then one day, she realized something profound. Her energy was being drained, not because of her workload, but because of the energy she gave to negativity. She started making small but powerful changes. She listened politely but didn't absorb unnecessary negativity. She focused on constructive conversations, avoided gossip, and prioritized her own mental space. Within weeks, she felt lighter, more focused, and happier. Her productivity increased, and her relationships improved. What she realized is simple but profound. Protecting your energy is like guarding a treasure. Once lost, it's hard to regain, but once preserved, it multiplies your capacity to succeed. Energy protection is not just about avoiding negative people. It's about being conscious of how your thoughts, words, and actions affect you. Every worry you entertain, every fear you amplify, every frustration you dwell on drains your energy. Life will naturally present challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, but how much energy you allow these experiences to take from you is entirely within your control. Meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection are tools to recharge your internal battery. Exercise, hobbies, and meaningful connections replenish it. But the first step is awareness, realizing that your energy is precious, finite, and worth protecting fiercely. There is another layer to this truth: not all energy is visible. Sometimes, we allow subtle things to drain us: criticism disguised as advice, passive-aggressive behavior, or even seemingly innocent comparisons. These small energy leaks accumulate over time, creating stress, doubt, and fatigue. Protecting your energy means setting boundaries, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It means saying no without guilt, prioritizing your well-being, and choosing relationships, work, and environments that nourish rather than deplete you. Imagine a candle. If you use it to light 1,000 others, it still shines. But if you let the wind blow it out carelessly, it dies. Your energy is like that candle. You can share it wisely, light others, and make a difference. But you must also protect the flame. If you give it away to those who don't respect it, or allow it to flicker in unnecessary conflicts, you end up dimmed, exhausted, and less capable of illuminating your own path. Here's an essential truth: energy protection is not isolation. It's not cutting yourself off from people or hiding from the world. It is selective engagement. It is choosing carefully where to invest your time, attention, and emotional strength. It is learning that sometimes walking away from a draining conversation, a toxic environment, or a negative mindset is an act of courage, not cowardice. Protecting your energy allows you to give your best to the people and pursuits that truly matter. There's also a spiritual dimension to this. Life is not just about what you achieve externally, it is about how you nurture your inner world. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are forms of energy. When you allow negative influences to dominate, you invite chaos into your inner life. When you protect your energy, you cultivate peace, clarity, and resilience. You create a space where creativity can flourish, relationships can deepen, and purpose can emerge. Finally, energy protection is an act of self-respect. It signals to yourself and the world that you value your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. When you safeguard your energy, you are better equipped to face challenges, inspire others, and live authentically. You become a lighthouse in a storm, steady, bright, and unwavering, not because the world has changed, but because your internal foundation is strong. So today, I urge you to reflect on this simple truth. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Guard it, protect it, and invest it wisely. Surround yourself with positivity, focus on growth, and set boundaries where needed. Life will always demand more than you sometimes want to give. But when you protect your energy, you give from a place of strength, not depletion. And when you give from strength, you not only transform your own life, but you also become a source of light and inspiration for everyone around you. Remember, energy is invisible, but its effects are visible in every aspect of your life. Protect it fiercely, nurture it carefully, and watch how it multiplies into focus, joy, resilience, and purpose. Your energy is sacred. Treat it as such. Have you ever noticed how some people share everything with everyone, while others choose their words carefully, guarding certain parts of themselves? Trust is a beautiful, precious gift, but it is not something we should give indiscriminately. In life, learning that trust is selective is one of the most important lessons you can master. Trusting the wrong person with the wrong thing can lead to disappointment, heartbreak, and even betrayal. And yet, when you place your trust wisely, it can be one of the most powerful forces in your life, fueling growth, building meaningful relationships, and creating opportunities you never imagined. Think about it. We live in a world where human connections are abundant, but true understanding is rare. Everyone has an opinion, everyone has advice, and everyone has a perspective, but not everyone has your best interests at heart. Some people will genuinely support you, others will admire you from afar, and some will subtly or overtly take advantage of your openness. The difference between a life filled with peace and confidence versus A life filled with regret often lies in the choices we make about whom we trust, what we share, and how much of ourselves we reveal. Let me tell you a story. There was a young entrepreneur who had a vision for a business that could change lives. Excited about the idea, he shared it with several acquaintances, expecting encouragement, insights, and guidance. Instead, he faced ridicule, criticism, and, worst of all, people using his ideas for their own benefit. He was heartbroken and almost gave up, but then he realized something profound. Not everyone deserved his trust. He began to share his ideas only with mentors he had known and respected for years, with friends who had proven loyalty, and with partners who had demonstrated integrity. Slowly, he rebuilt his business, and it became a great success. The lesson was clear: trust is powerful, but it is selective. Giving it to the wrong person can harm you, but giving it wisely can transform your life. Trust is not just about protecting your ideas or plans, it's about protecting your emotions, your vulnerabilities, and your inner world. Every human being has insecurities, fears, and struggles. Sharing them with the wrong person can lead to judgment, gossip, or even exploitation. But sharing them with someone who genuinely cares can bring understanding, comfort, and guidance. The key is discernment. Who has shown consistency in words and actions? Who has demonstrated empathy and integrity over time? Who has earned the right to hold a piece of your world with care? These are the people you can trust. This principle applies not only to relationships, but to every aspect of life, at work, in friendships, or even in casual interactions. Being discerning about whom you trust ensures that your energy, time, and emotions are invested wisely. Life has a way of testing this principle repeatedly. You may encounter colleagues who promise support but vanish when challenges arise, friends who talk behind your back, or even strangers who pretend to care. Each experience is a reminder that trust is not a blanket you give to everyone. It is a treasure you bestow selectively. There is also a spiritual lesson in selective trust. Trusting indiscriminately is like scattering seeds on barren land. Some may grow, but many will wither. Trusting wisely, however, is like planting seeds in fertile soil. With care, patience, and attention, they grow strong, bearing fruit, not just for you, but for everyone around you. It takes time to recognize fertile soil, and it requires patience to wait for the right moments and the right people. But the harvest is worth it. One of the challenges we face today is the desire for instant connection. Social media and digital communication make it easy to share and connect with hundreds of people instantly. But connection is not trust. Just because someone likes your post, comments on your picture, or claims to understand you does not mean they have earned your trust. True trust is earned through consistency, empathy, and shared experiences over time. It is built quietly, nurtured patiently, and tested repeatedly. And the people who truly deserve your trust are the ones who stand by you not only when it's convenient, but also when it's difficult. Trust is also about self-respect. When you understand that trust is selective, you no longer feel compelled to prove yourself to everyone. You no longer share your weaknesses or secrets to gain acceptance. You no longer expose yourself to people who are not ready or worthy to handle your vulnerabilities. This self-awareness protects your inner peace and ensures that your relationships are authentic, meaningful, and mutually supportive. Finally, remember that selective trust does not mean building walls around yourself or becoming cynical. It means being wise. It means recognizing the value of your emotional and mental space. It means honoring the sacredness of your inner world by being intentional about whom you allow in. When practiced wisely, selective trust strengthens you, deepens your relationships, and provides clarity in navigating life's challenges. So today, I encourage you to reflect who deserves your trust. Are you sharing your life, ideas, and vulnerabilities indiscriminately? Or are you placing them with care and discernment? Your trust is one of the most precious gifts you can give. It is the foundation for love, friendship, collaboration, and growth. Protect it, choose it wisely, and when you do, you will see the remarkable power of trust manifest in your life. Relationships that uplift you, partnerships that inspire you, and connections that help you grow into the best version of yourself. Remember, trust is not about quantity, it is about quality. Be selective, be mindful, be intentional. And watch how your life transforms when your energy and vulnerabilities are shared with the right people, in the right way, at the right time. Have you ever looked at a weakness in yourself and felt frustrated, ashamed, or even defeated? Maybe it's a fear you can't seem to overcome, a skill you lack, or a part of your personality that doesn't fit society's ideal. We often think that our weaknesses define us, that they are a mark of limitation, a reason to feel less than others. But here's a profound truth that can transform your life. Every weakness has the potential to become your greatest strength. The very thing you perceive as holding you back, when understood and worked upon with patience, discipline, and courage, can propel you forward in ways you never imagined. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who was painfully shy. In school, he struggled to speak up in class, avoided public gatherings, and felt invisible among his peers. Many would have called him timid, lacking confidence, or socially awkward. But instead of seeing his shyness as a permanent limitation, he decided to understand it. He realized that his shyness came from deep self-awareness and careful observation. He started practicing small steps, speaking to one person at a time, sharing ideas with a trusted friend, gradually expanding his comfort zone. Over the years, he transformed this weakness into a strength. Today, he is a renowned counselor, speaker, and mentor. His ability to listen, empathize, and connect deeply with others, skills rooted in his early shyness, has become his greatest asset. That which once seemed like a weakness became the foundation of his unique power. This is the essence of transformation. A weakness is not inherently negative. It is a signal, a guidepost, an opportunity for growth. Every weakness contains within it the blueprint for strength if you approach it with curiosity and dedication. But there is a process to it. The first step is acknowledgement. You must honestly face the parts of yourself that feel vulnerable, inadequate, or flawed. Denying them only prolongs their power over you. Accepting them, however, allows you to examine them, understand their roots, and begin the journey of transformation. Once acknowledged, the next step is action. Weakness becomes strength through deliberate effort. It is like taking a lump of clay and molding it with patience and care. If you are naturally impatient, you can cultivate patience through meditation, reflection, and consistent practice. If you struggle with fear, you can slowly confront it, taking small risks that expand your courage. Every time you challenge your limitation, you strengthen the muscle that resides within it. Over time, this muscle becomes your secret power, a strength that is authentic because it was born from your own journey, not imposed externally. There is also a perspective shift that must occur. Weakness becomes strength when you see it differently, not as a deficit, but as a unique characteristic that can guide your growth. For example, someone who struggles with failure may develop extraordinary resilience, learning to adapt, persist, and innovate in ways that others cannot. Someone who experiences rejection may cultivate empathy, humility, and the ability to connect deeply with those who feel unheard. Weakness in this sense is not a hindrance. It is a teacher, and every challenge you face is a lesson designed to shape you into a stronger, wiser person. Think about great achievers in history. Most of them were not born perfect. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey faced rejection and hardship before becoming a global inspiration. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming the greatest player of all time. What they all had in common was this: they recognized their weaknesses, faced them, and transformed them into strengths. Their struggles were not obstacles to success, they were the stepping stones. The transformation of weakness into strength also requires patience and compassion toward yourself. You will stumble, you will fail, you will doubt yourself. And that's okay. Weakness is not a flaw to erase immediately, it is a process to work with. Celebrate small victories, learn from setbacks, and maintain faith in your ability to grow. When you approach weakness with patience and self-compassion, it becomes a source of resilience rather than shame. There is also a hidden beauty in this transformation. Your weaknesses make you relatable. People are inspired not only by your successes, but also by the vulnerabilities you have faced and overcome. When you transform your weakness into strength, you not only elevate yourself, but also inspire others to see their own struggles differently. You become a living example that limitations are not permanent. They are invitations to grow, opportunities to evolve, and stepping stones toward greatness. So today, I want you to reflect on one weakness you have been ashamed of, one fear that has held you back, or one trait you have wished were different. Imagine it not as a chain that binds you, but as a seed that has the potential to bloom into your unique strength. Nurture it, work on it, and embrace it. With dedication, persistence, and self-belief, you will witness a transformation that is nothing short of miraculous. What was once a limitation will become a defining strength, a gift that no one can take away, and a cornerstone of your success and fulfillment. Remember, weakness is not weakness when approached with courage. It is potential waiting to be unlocked. It is a teacher waiting to guide you. It is a bridge waiting to carry you from who you are today to who you are meant to become. Your weaknesses, when understood, embraced, and cultivated, are your greatest strengths in disguise. In today's world, it's almost impossible to ignore social media. It surrounds us like an invisible force, shaping the way we think, feel, and interact with the world. It has given us the ability to connect instantly and to share our thoughts and to witness the lives of people from every corner of the globe. But here's the hard truth. Social media is not your therapist. It is not a safe space to unload your fears, your insecurities, or your emotional burdens. And yet, many of us treat it as one. We post our frustrations, share our sadness, and seek validation from likes, comments, or shares, hoping that the digital applause will fill the emptiness inside. But it doesn't. It can't. Think about it. A post on social media is public, momentary, and often superficial. When you pour your vulnerability into it, you are sharing it with people who may not understand, who may judge, or who may simply scroll past without a second thought. Unlike a therapist, a trusted friend, or a mentor, social media does not offer empathy, guidance, or personalized support. It offers instant reactions, some positive, some negative, and many indifferent. When we mistake these fleeting responses for real understanding, we set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and even deeper feelings of isolation. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who had gone through a painful breakup. Heartbroken and seeking comfort, she poured her feelings into social media posts, sharing her sadness, her anger, and her despair with hundreds of followers. She waited for likes, comments, and messages of support, hoping someone would see her pain. Some responded kindly, but many criticized, judged, or simply ignored her posts. After weeks of this cycle, she realized that social media had not healed her. It had amplified her emotions, made her feel exposed, and even increased her anxiety. The real healing began only when she turned inward, reflected on her emotions, and sought support from a trusted friend and mentor who genuinely cared. That is when she began to feel truly understood and empowered. Social media can be a powerful tool for inspiration, learning, and connection, but it is not a replacement for real emotional processing. True growth and healing come from self-reflection, honest conversations with those who truly care, and intentional practices like journaling, meditation, or therapy. When we post our pain online, we often seek external validation rather than addressing the internal work that is necessary for transformation. The heart cannot be healed by likes, the mind cannot be soothed by comments, and the soul cannot find peace in virtual applause. There is also a subtle danger in social media that many overlook: comparison. When you share your struggles online, it is easy to look at others' lives and feel inadequate, even if their struggles are hidden. Social media shows curated moments, highlight reels, and filtered realities. Comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel can deepen insecurity and make your challenges feel heavier than they truly are. The irony is that while seeking comfort online, we often trap ourselves in a cycle of comparison, judgment, and emotional fatigue. The lesson here is not to reject social media entirely. It has immense value, but to approach it mindfully. Recognize that it is a tool, not a sanctuary. Recognize that the empathy, understanding, and guidance you need cannot come from strangers or casual acquaintances online. Your feelings, your vulnerabilities, and your struggles deserve safe, authentic spaces where they can be acknowledged, processed, and nurtured. Sharing your inner world with social media can sometimes feel like shouting into a vast crowd. Some may hear you, but most do not truly understand. There is a spiritual and emotional dimension to this truth as well. Human emotions, like rivers, need direction, containment, and care. Letting them flow carelessly into social media is like pouring water into a sieve. It spreads everywhere, but never settles, never nourishes, and never brings true resolution. Real healing requires intentional containment, reflection, and connection with those who can provide guidance, perspective, and encouragement. It requires turning inward, understanding your emotions, and gradually transforming pain into learning and resilience. Let me also share a powerful insight. When you stop using social media as a substitute for emotional support, you reclaim your power. You become less dependent on external validation and more attuned to your own growth. You begin to process challenges in private, reflect deeply, and make conscious choices about whom to confide in. You learn to guard your vulnerabilities wisely, sharing them only with those who are trustworthy, empathetic, and capable of providing meaningful guidance. In doing so, your emotional energy is protected, your confidence is strengthened, and your personal growth accelerates. So today, I urge you to reflect. Social media is a tool, not a therapist. It can inspire, entertain, and inform, but it cannot heal your heart, soothe your soul, or provide the empathy you truly need. Your struggles deserve attention, care, and reflection, not the fleeting, often shallow responses of strangers online. Choose to process your emotions in safe spaces, confide in those who have earned your trust, and cultivate practices that nurture your inner well-being. Remember, healing, growth, and emotional strength come from intention, reflection, and authentic connection, not from the number of likes, shares, or comments on a post. Social media may amplify your voice, but it cannot transform your heart. Protect your vulnerabilities, honor your emotions, and invest in spaces and relationships that genuinely support you. When you do this, you will find true resilience, peace, and clarity, something no social media platform can ever give you.